Teens want to talk to the trusted adults in their lives about the issues that they face, even if these are awkward or difficult issues. I realized this several years ago when I taught the 15-year-old Sunday school class. I had a great group of kids. They were very respectful, and they always participated when I asked questions and had them read the scriptures. But the problem I had in the class was that I couldn't get them excited or engaged in the lesson. There was one lesson that I taught, though, that they were very excited and very engaged in, and they had a great conversation. Ironically, the lesson was on the law of chastity. The lesson began, as most of these lessons do, with the kids all awkwardly staring at the floor and shuffling their feet. I told them about the law of chastity, what it is, and why they should live the law of chastity. So basically, I was giving them a lecture. Then I changed the mode of the lesson to be a discussion. They've learned about the law of chastity since they were really little, and they know what they're not supposed to do. But the question they have is what is okay and what is appropriate in specific situations. And so I asked the class this question, and then I turned it over to them and told them they needed to figure out for themselves what they felt was okay. They had a great discussion and figured out some great guidelines, and since these were their guidelines, they were more likely to follow them. And so the youth want to talk to the adults in their lives. They want to discuss the issues that are confusing and difficult and challenging for them. And there are many issues in the world today that face our youth every day that are difficult, challenging, and confusing. One of these issues is what is the big deal about pornography? The big deal about pornography is the damaging effects of pornography. Pornography damages the brain, it damages the family, and it damages society. The way that pornography damages the brain is that it's very much like a drug. When you use a hard drug like meth or cocaine, and when you view pornography, the same chemical reactions happen in the brain. There's an excessive release of dopamine. The only difference is that with viewing pornography, the reaction in the brain is much more powerful. It's like a chemical bomb goes off in the brain. And in teens' brains, studies have shown that their reward pathways are 2 to 4 times more powerful than those in the adult brain, which means that teens' brains are being flooded with even more dopamine. And just like with using meth and cocaine, viewing pornography is addicting. What happens in the brain is that when this excessive dopamine is released, the brain tries to normalize that level because that is not a healthy or normal state. And so it will shrink the receptors, the dopamine receptors, so that there isn't so much dopamine going into the brain. This results in the individual needing to have more dopamine released to feel normal. And so they will begin to crave more and more pornography. Elder Dallin H. Oaks said, "It impairs decision-making capacities. It hooks the choosers, drawing them back obsessively for more and more." A man who had been addicted to pornography and to hard drugs wrote me this comparison. "In my eyes, it doesn't hold a candle to this. Compared to quitting pornography, even the hardest drugs was nothing compared to quitting pornography." And when you're viewing pornography, the brain physically changes. The neural pathways are rewired, making new connections. As I said in fightthenewdrug.org website, neurons that fire together wire together. Also in the brains of addicts, they have found that the frontal lobes of the brain shrink. Pornography is damaging to the family. It is difficult for those who use pornography to develop meaningful, healthy relationships. M.A. Layden, in a paper called Pornography and Violence, in a journal on the social issues of pornography, stated, "Healthy relationships are built on equality, honesty, respect, and love. But in porn, it's the reverse. Interactions are based on domination, disrespect, abuse, violence, and detachment." Viewing pornography results in the loss of the spirit. Elder Dallin H. Oaks said, "When we worthily partake of the sacrament, we are promised that we will always have his spirit to be with us. We promise that we will, to qualify for that promise, we covenant that we will always remember him. Those who seek out and use pornography for sexual stimulation obviously violate that covenant. They also violate a sacred covenant to refrain from unholy and impure practices. They cannot have the spirit to be with them." I personally know of the damaging effects of pornography on families. My sister married a really sharp return missionary in the temple, and they had 4 beautiful daughters. He was a really awesome dad and would always do fun things with his children. Everything with him was awesome, and everything was an adventure. They would go to the grocery store, and it was an adventure, and they were the cutest little family. But then he got involved in pornography, and he kept viewing harder and harder pornography and more, spending more and more time with this, and it changed his personality and changed the person that he was. And he began to be very abusive to my sister, and it got worse as the years went on until finally she left him and divorced him. After she had left him, her two older daughters told her that their dad had been sexually abusing them and that he had threatened to kill their mother if they told. It's been 12 years since she divorced her husband. The girls have not had any contact with him since then, and they're all grown now, but they still have emotional and some health issues because of the abuse that took place in their home because of their dad's pornography addictions. Pornography damages society. In viewing pornography, women are objectified. And also on pornography sites, it shows in many of the sites violence against women. And so it promotes violence against women. And women view these sites and they begin to believe that abuse and violence in relationships is normal and even healthy because that's what they're seeing. One of the side effects of viewing pornography is a lower material success in life. Another side effect is that it changes your beliefs. Both of these have damaging effects on the society. Now that you know the damaging effects of pornography on the brain, the family, and society, it's time for you to get involved and to warn others about these effects. You need to get educated and you need to talk to your children. 80% of first-time exposures are in the home between the ages of 4 and 11. Pornography loses its allure when it is talked about. It thrives in secrecy. Two great resources that you can on the web that you can go to find out more about how to talk to your children about pornography and more of the information that you need to know and be educated about it are the church's website, overcomingpornography.org. They also have a guide for parents. It's called A Parent's Guide to help them talk with their children about issues about healthy sexual relationships. And then the other website is fightthenewdrug.org. This is a great website. It has lots of information on all of these different areas that pornography damages the family, the society, and the brain. They have, if you click on the references, they have lots of articles and journals and websites listed in their references that you can go to those to find more information still. If you're addicted to pornography, you need to get help. You're not going to be able to overcome this addiction alone. It can only be overcome through repentance and through the repentance process and with the use of the atonement. How many days does it take to overcome an addiction? It takes 2 years. We all need to get involved and tell others about the damaging effects of pornography.